Welcome to Past Blast. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about Leipzig, or others call it the Battle of Nations. This is where, after many years of victory, Napoleon's empire finally cracked. The sound before the storm. The earth trembled before dawn, not from thunder, but from footsteps. Thousands, tens of thousands, an ocean of men advancing towards a single point in Saxony, unaware they were walking into the largest battle Europe had ever seen. Over 4 brutal days in October 1813, the fate of a continent and the fate of one man would hang in the balance. Napoleon Bonaparte was surrounded. His enemies, Russia, Prussia, Austria, and Sweden, were converging like wolves on a wounded titan. This is Leipzig, the Battle of Nations, the moment the empire cracked. The fall after the fire. To understand Leipzig, you must understand the shadow hanging over Europe. Just 1 year earlier, Napoleon led the Grand Armée, 600,000 strong, into Russia. Only a shattered fraction of them returned. The myth of invincibility was gone. The eagle's wings, they were broken. Kings and emperors once feared Napoleon now sensed something new: weakness. And so they formed a coalition unlike anything the world had seen. Russia, Prussia, Austria, and Sweden. 4 nations with one goal: destroying Napoleon's power once and for all. By autumn 1813, Napoleon was outnumbered. He was outmaneuvered, and he was out of time. His troops were brave, they were loyal and battle-hardened, but they were exhausted. Supplies were thin, and morale was frayed. Yet he marched towards Leipzig, not because he wanted to fight, but because he had no choice. Day 1, the lion strikes first. At dawn on October 16th, the horizon glowed with cannon fire. The ground shook as massive batteries unleashed hell. Entire villages became firestorms of musket smoke and splintered wood. Napoleon began the day with brilliance. He attacked first, violently, smashing into coalition near the center at Wachau. French infantry charged through burning fields. Polish lancers sliced through Russian lines. Murat, who was Napoleon's flamboyant cavalry general, led one of the largest cavalry charges of the war. Nearly 10,000 horsemen were thundering like a tidal wave of steel. For a moment, the old magic had returned. The coalition's center buckled, and victory, it seemed within reach. But then, Austria arrived. Fresh troops, fresh guns, reinforcements the French simply could not match. By nightfall, on day 1, it ended not with triumph, but with a grim stalemate. Napoleon had struck hard, but the enemy's numbers were simply too vast. Day 2, the weight of the world. October 17th brought eerie quiet. Both sides buried the dead. They tended to the living, and they counted the cost. Napoleon, for the first time in years, hesitated. You see, he needed reinforcements. Unfortunately, they weren't coming. He needed allies. Well, they vanished. And Saxony, who was once loyal, was now wavering. And the coalition? Well, the armies only grew stronger. All around Leipzig, the noose tightened. Napoleon could feel it tightening around him. Day 3, the nations strike. On October 18th, the world changed. The coalition launched a coordinated assault on every French position. It was a storm of musket fire, cannons, and bayonets, unlike anything Europe had ever witnessed. 200,000 troops descended on Napoleon from all directions, the south, the north, and the east. The Saxons, who were Napoleon's own allies, they suddenly switched sides mid-battle. Their artillery turned on French lines without any warning. Could you imagine the shock, the betrayal? French soldiers staring in disbelief as former brothers in arms fired directly into them. What resulted was the French line collapsed in places. It bent in others. But in the end, it didn't break. Napoleon's veterans, they fought. They fought with desperate fury, holding villages house by house, room by room, wall by wall. The sky turned black with smoke. The fields, they became rivers of mud and blood. Every inch of ground cost dozens of lives. By evening, the decision was clear. Napoleon, he could no longer win. He had to retreat or be destroyed. Day 4, the retreat and the tragedy. October 19th at dawn. Napoleon ordered a withdrawal across Leipzig's bridges. It was orderly, it was controlled. In his mind, a retreat, not a rout, until disaster. A French officer, he panicked, misinformed, or perhaps simply overwhelmed, ordered the premature destruction of the last remaining bridge across the Elster River. Tens of thousands of French soldiers were still on the wrong side. The explosion ripped through the morning air. A fireball, a shockwave, and then screams. Trapped soldiers leapt into the river. They were drowning under the weight of their equipment, while others were gunned down as the coalition troops surged forward. Among them was one of Napoleon's finest marshals, a hero of Poland. He was shot, bleeding, and refusing to surrender. He tried to swim across the river, and he vanished behind the water. The price of a single mistake was the price of an empire collapsing. The aftermath, the Eagle Falls. Leipzig was a catastrophe for Napoleon. He had over 80,000 casualties, dead, wounded, captured, or missing. Entire units were wiped out. Allies were defecting, and his aura, it was shattered. For the coalition, it was victory, but a victory steeped in unimaginable loss. Over 110,000 men fell in just 4 days. The fields around Leipzig became a graveyard stretching for miles. Europe had never seen suffering on this scale, and it wouldn't until the 20th century. Napoleon withdrew westward, wounded but yet defiant. But everyone knew the French emperor's power was broken. Ultimately, 6 months later was all that it would take. He would abdicate. In Leipzig, well, it became the moment the world realized even the greatest armies, even the greatest generals, can bleed. Closing. Echoes across centuries. Today, Leipzig stands as a modern, vibrant city. But beneath its streets, beneath its parks, beneath its quiet suburbs, lies the memory of the Battle of Nations. Where French drums once roared, children now play. Where cavalry once charged, commuters now cross intersections. Where tens of thousands cried out their final breath, the wind now whispers through the trees. History does not shout, it echoes. Leipzig was not just the battle, it was a turning point. The moment when Europe reshaped itself and the ambition met the immovable force of reality. And yet, in the smoke and chaos of those 4 days, one truth still shines. No empire is eternal. No leader is invincible. And no moment in history is too distant for its lessons to reach us today. Thank you for listening. This has been Past Blast. And this was the day an empire cracked.